My next guest on Tea Time with me, Ali Monjack, is award-winning actress Janie Dee. Janie had a light bulb moment in Beijing and decided to start the London Climate Festival, 6 weeks of well-known artists and scientists working together to celebrate the planet and fight climate change. And that was going to happen this year in 2020 March. Unfortunately, because of lockdown, it hasn't been able to go ahead. But that has not disturbed Janie at all. She is still putting together people and fighting the climate change fight and coming up with other ideas for the festival, which is now going to take place in its full form next year in 2021. Janie also has 3 dates to perform at Crazy Coq's in September. That's the 1st, the 2nd and the 3rd. Let's find out more. Hello, Janie. Welcome to Tea Time with Ali Monjack. You have had an extensive acting career and now you're very much an activist for climate change, aren't you?
You know, I thought I was. Before the lockdown happened, I'd got a whole festival of 8 weeks full of the best British artists, comedians, singers, great scientists, activists themselves, and environmentalists together to do this 8-week festival. Of course, it was stopped in its track. And you were just saying that we've had a hard time in lockdown. And I have to say that when they first said stop, I was absolutely relieved that we could just stop. And I didn't have a hard time in lockdown. I mean, there've been a couple of moments that have not been easy, but overall, compared with what some people have gone through, I've had time in my garden, I've had time with my little boy, not so little anymore, and with my family that I didn't expect to have time with, and most of all, time to really think. I like nature. I love hearing the birds sing. I love being in the garden. And what do I really want to do now for the climate change thing? I'm involved with Extinction Rebellion because I think they're great, but am I an activist? I'm not doing enough yet. And so my kind of main objective with the Climate Change Festival is to help people like me who go, I'd like to do a bit more, but I don't really know how to do it and what to do. Right. And so I'm starting very soon a video diary of, you know, somebody said to me, Sky Gingell, who runs Spring Restaurant in Somerset House, she said, do not throw any of your plastic away. From now on, just don't throw it away. So I've got a cupboard over there. I'm really glad you can't see in it. But I've got boxes full of stuffed plastic bottles that you get the plastic bottle, you stuff all your thin plastic in it until it's absolutely chocker.
Eco bricks.
Eco bricks, exactly. And so we're going to try and build a little kind of centre in the middle of town, in the middle of London, that will be the centre of the London Climate Change Festival, that will become maybe our box office or something like that, with everybody's eco bricks. And it's a start. And what it does is the knock-on effect is it stops you wanting to buy plastic. I'll just do anything now, go out of my way so I don't buy a plastic bottle because I've got so many in the cupboard. And if you don't throw them away, you're keeping them. And if you throw them away, you know that they're going in the ocean and some poor creature is going to choke on it, or, you know, it's going to have a bad effect on the makeup of the sea as well. So that's a start. That's a start. There's a few other things I'm doing, but
it is a start. I mean, climate change, I mean, we're all aware of it, and Greta Thunberg and David Attenborough have been leading lights in trying to, you know, find solutions and talk about it and open people up to it. There is more and more happening all the time. I mean, you get companies like TerraCycle, for example, who are now actually producing, you know, getting people to take their cheese wrappers, because that has been quite a thing to get rid of plastic wise, get their cheese wrappers in these banks that they've created and create in a community and recycle them into furniture, play, play equipment for children.
Yeah.
So there is a lot going on now. There really is.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. We just it's so easy, I found, to go, I'm doing my plastic bottles, at least I'm doing that, and then I get into my car and I drive, for 3 hours to Gloucestershire to see my mum and dad, and think, I know this is wrong, I know this is not helping the air, so I've got to sort of work that one out. Got to. Because the emissions from cars and planes are just choking the air that we breathe. And now the pollution is back up in London. So sad, because it was so clear during lockdown. You could feel it. You could hear the birds singing like crazy. It was really wonderful to feel the difference in the air. And apart from that, the fact is that it's now illegal quantities again, which is really bad, gives people bad lungs, and who knows if that has an effect on us regarding coronavirus. We haven't heard the data yet, but I just feel that we need to treat ourselves and the planet really, really with great tender care. And I don't know if you did this, Ali, but when we went into lockdown, I found that I reduced everything I was using. Did you do that?
Yes, I did actually. Yeah, I mean, also the other thing is that I think that helped us potentially is that we couldn't really go out as much, could we?
Yeah, no.
So
So we're saving money, saving on all sorts of costs to the planet and costs to ourselves. So I think a lot of people have kind of woken up to that and gone, hold on though, I don't actually need to do that huge shop every week. I could just buy a few things and create some wonderful recipes. Food waste in the world is, now I'm going to forget my statistics, but they're all on the website, the London Climate Change Festival website. But the waste in the food in the world of food is immense. It's enough to create the size of a country like China. That's how much food waste there is per year. Enough food waste to feed the hungry, starving people 3 times over. So if we know that, those of us who are not starving and not stupid, we can start thinking, well, if I don't buy so much, I won't waste it. If I can just limit what I'm eating, plan ahead a little bit, go to the greengrocers rather than the supermarket a bit more, so you're in brown paper bags rather than plastic. Try and, any plastic you end up having, stuff it into the bottles, and it's slowly but surely, but it's a wonderful awakening, and it's great to try and make the way you live different. And we're just about to invite loads of artists to become part of a collective where they will meet up with scientists and have conversations a bit like this, pretty normal chats, but how do I do this? What happens if I do that? But it's something very funny or interesting. Rob Brydon has joined us, and all sorts of lovely people that you will find on the website as well, and more. And they will help us understand with the scientists what we can actually do and what will happen if we don't do it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Are you saying now that because of the fact that you were going to do this whole thing, it was in March, wasn't it, that you were set to do it? But now you've moved the whole thing online for the moment.
Well, yes and no. I mean, because I'm still quite active as an artist, as well as an actor, as well as an activist for climate change, anything I do, like I'm going to do a production of a little night music in Holland Park, which is open air. We're not going to use lighting. We're only going to use sound, and it's all going to be hopefully green sound. So everything I do now is going to have that little logo of London Climate Change Festival on it. In other words, we are thinking about sustainability as we perform a show, so that there's no wastage. There's so much, in every walk of life, but particularly, I have to say, in theatre, sometimes we have these elaborate sets, and then at the end of the run, it's all thrown on a dump somewhere, and I think we've got to rethink it. We can't go back. We've got to go forward. That's what I'd like.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about the production that you're doing in Holland Park. So who else is in it?
Well, I was in Follies with Joanna Riding recently, and she is going to play the Countess. I'm going to play Desiree. We are talking to some amazing people, and I'm afraid I can't tell you tonight because there was a little bit of a delay just before with the rolling on of casting, and it's Holland Park's fault, but consequently we haven't contracted the people that we're pretty sure are going to do it, so I can't say tonight, but needless to say, they are Olivier award-winning, brilliant performers from shows that you definitely will have heard of because they were only recently taking those awards. So wonderful people. Fra Fee and Laura Pitt-Polford are signed up. Alex Parker with the orchestra. He's done this before. We've actually done a little night music together before. And I rang Alex and I said, I'm sitting in Holland Park looking at this amazing, beautiful house, the front of the house of which is the perfect set for a little night music. And I said, I've just got this inspiration to do it. What do you think? And he came and sat next to me and he said, oh my God, it's absolutely made for it. We can only invite 200 people and the tickets will be something around 40 quid each. So it will be, unfortunately not for everyone, this first one, but we're going to try and repeat it if we can. Keep things open air, keep things beautiful and, measured. I hope that I can ring you up and say you could announce the cast in about 2 days.
Definitely. Well, no, that's absolutely fine because, in short, I'm not going to put this out tonight. So
Great. Well, we rang.
Yeah.
All right. I wrote to Stephen Sondheim's lawyer, Rick Pappas, and I said, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I really want to do a celebration of life and a thank you to our country for looking after us all. I mean, I know not everybody has had this, but, a lot of us have had, a little grant to keep us going, keep the wolf from the door. And I think that's amazing, to be honest. I think it could have been a lot worse. We're all right. And I just thought it would be really lovely. It would be good for us anyway to get ourselves going, but also to do something that says, isn't it wonderful to be alive? And aren't we crazy people as well? And that's a little night music. That is it. That's sort of what it does. And it's got the most amazing music. Anyway, Stephen Sondheim said to Rick Pappas when we told him who we wanted to cast, and I wish I could tell you who it is, oh my God, that is a dream cast. Yes. So that's what moved him to say yes, because he doesn't usually give the rights for something like this. He's very, very choosy. I know him well, over the years, and certainly from the recent Follies performance. But he's a very choosy but tasteful man, and I really respect his choice. So I was thrilled that he put the thumbs up about the cast and the event itself. So. It's our toe dip in the ocean, to see how it's going to be. And then I'm going to go on holiday for a week, and then I'm going to just relax because it's going to be a lot of work. And then on the 1st of September, I'm going to open Crazy Coqs again. Crazy Coqs is a wonderful cabaret room in the West End in ZL Brasserie, run by Jeremy King and James Albrecht of Fame Productions, and they phoned me and said, would you like to open it? So that was very nice and very scary because it's going to be live streamed as well. But there is room for 40 people a night. So it's all going, down to these tiny audiences. But I'm actually looking forward to it because I don't want to rush back to that wham band jamming everybody in and sweating. And, we've got to be really careful. We've got to be not just careful with ourselves catching it, but just careful the way we, I think, go forward now. We've tasted what it's like to be scared of death, really scared of its presence, like that. We have to live with that. That's part of our lives. But I think, having known people who've had it and nearly died, not actually died, but known of people who've died, it's made me really value every breath, every tree that gives us that, every tomato I'm growing in the garden because I thought we were all going to starve, so I planted about 100 tomato plants. It's it wakes you up to how lucky we are just to be here.
Yeah, and just to be surrounded by nature. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. There is the tip side of doing this, of having interviews over Zoom and using technology. Yeah, I mean it's great, as in it saves us getting into cars or getting on trains or getting on planes or getting wherever. But also the flip side is human contact.
Yes.
As humans, we love to be around people, we love to hug people, we love to spend time with them, and you can't replace that.
No.
I mean, surely.
I mean, Zoom's pretty good, isn't it? But it's not nearly as good as seeing somebody in the flesh.
No, exactly. And also, I mean, with your productions that are coming up, in the next couple of months, one in the Holland Park and also the one in the West End, you are going to probably notice actually that having any audience is going to be amazing, because I've spoken to actually one of my last podcasts was a dancer, and he said it's a totally different thing when you're performing over Zoom to people, to
so different. Yeah,
in a live room with actually people. You can't match that. You cannot.
No, it's just a whole other level of energy and communication. And they said to me, if we can't bring an audience in, we'll just do it live stream and you can perform to the camera. And I said, with cabaret, one of the things you rely on is somebody saying something to you in the audience, or you deciding to go down into the audience and say hello to somebody that they weren't expecting it. Or, there is, the fourth wall is broken, and it's part of the charm of cabaret. So I said, I'm not sure how it will feel, to try and do that, but we'll have a go. We've got to have a go. We've got to keep it kind of alive, because I think I was questioning, do we need to keep it alive? Do we need entertainment? Do we need singing and dancing and acting? Do we really need it? And it was when I saw One Man, Two Governors for the first time on the NT Live on a Thursday night, and I just thought, gosh, the power of live entertainment is such a pick-me-up, and it can really move you to feel more inspired in your own life. I think it does have a value. I just want to be really careful how we do it, not to pump more pollution into the air by having too many lights or too much sound, or asking people to come miles to come and see you, and then they've got to drive miles away. I think got to really think about all that, because we can't just think that the planet can provide with no end to it, because there is. It's just a planet.
What was the turning point for you, Janie? What was the turning point? When did you actually, they say, a creative seed is planted at some point, and obviously, your climate festival, it was. So when was that sort of light bulb moment?
I think it's been brewing for a bit, but when I was in China with Shakespeare's Globe, I was playing Titania in A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I spoke the lines of the prophetic speech that she gives in the show, in the play, about climate change. I should have rehearsed it, then I could have done it to you. I might do a little performance for you at the end of the interview quickly. But basically, the words are that we have not been thinking properly about nature and each other. And so nature takes hold of us and shows us what she can do to us. That's what her speech is about. And it's all our fault, because we didn't really think about each other and about nature. in a nutshell, that's what the very long speech is about. So as I was saying this, and at night, get my coat on, going home in China, you know, say in well, where was I? I was in Beijing. Beijing was frightening because in Beijing, the pollution, you could see it. You didn't want to breathe because it was, you could cut a knife through the air of smog.
Wow.
And it smelt. And so, particularly in Beijing, my words began to take on a new energy and need to speak. We are responsible. We do so many awful things to the planet. And I saw a lot of it when I was on tour, huge 99-floor buildings, and you'd take a lift up to the top and have a cocktail, you know. But a bit of me was thinking, hold on, how is this okay? Is this okay? Anyway, by the time I got back from that, I was getting close to doing it, but it took me. I mean, that was in 2015, and it's now 2020. So, you know, I don't get any brownie points for doing this because I should have done it ages ago. But it was the play then. It was Greta Thunberg that my eldest child gave me a book that she wrote, and that was wonderful and really upsetting and really to the point, incredibly intelligent. She's an amazing kid, amazing person. I'm so glad that she's had the success and been listened to. She certainly inspired me. And then I read a play called Vanya and Sonia and Masha and Spike, which is a kind of quirky take on Chekhov, but it's American. It's American. It's a bit like a sitcom from America. Very, very brilliant. Sigourney Weaver played the part I played in New York, and I get to play it here. Hopefully we're still going to do it. But that is a script. It's not about climate change, but it is about how life, when you get to about mid-50s, you suddenly go, oh my Lord, it's come quicker than I thought. And everybody says this to you in your 30s, and you go, no, it's fine. I've got ages and ages and ages. Life is going at the right pace. When you get to 50, 55, you start going, whoa, hold on, slow down, slow down. It doesn't slow down, it actually gets quicker. And the play is about the importance of family, the importance of entertainment, how good entertainment can really make you feel good, how bad entertainment and corrupt, if you like, entertainment can really harm. And it's also ultimately about loving nature. So it took a left turn, this play. I was laughing my head off, and suddenly it took a left turn, and I thought, oh yes, 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 this is relevant. It's not just funny, it's relevant. And I'm so grateful to Christopher Durang for writing it. He's a really respected playwright in America. He hasn't really been noted here, but he is up there with the greatest godlike writers of America.
And I mean, this was, you know, the Climate Festival was going to be in conjunction with the play.
Yeah.
And him coming over, bringing it over from Broadway. So
yes,
that would have been amazing. But yeah, you know, we've still got that to come, haven't we? And that, I think,
well, we'll see. I mean, look, on the one hand, it was upsetting that after all that work, and I mean, I can't tell you how many, I didn't sleep, you know, I'd had maybe 2-3 hours a night. But when we all stopped for COVID-19, that did more for the planet than any festival would have done. Anything, you know, so it was actually, in a way, much better for the planet that we did stop. I was glad of it. Now, when we go back, I think the festival is needed just to go, don't forget everybody, cycle to work if you can, you know, keep the air fresh, keep it fresh. We just won't have the time. If we don't do it now, we will not have time. So anyway, there are better ways to say it than I'm saying it. And I think the artists who are coming on board to then create pieces that say it in a more artistic, dynamic way might move people more than me rattling on about it, you know?
No, I see what you're saying. It's reaching different audiences, isn't it? I mean, the Climate Festival, I mean, it is actually a fabulous idea, and I can see where you're coming from. You know, I mean, no one has thought of, you know, having a climate festival, so to speak, before. Conferences, yeah, sure, but you know, a festival where you're virtually, you know, celebrating the climate, I think is great. So, you know, it sounds to me that because of COVID-19, I'm still undecided what it's supposed to be
Say it
pronounced.
the way you want to, it doesn't matter.
I'm still, you know, convinced that because of that as well, you know, perhaps you've changed the direction of the festival maybe slightly, but it's still happening, isn't it, in its own small way by
Oh
working.
my God, the team of,
Yeah.
there's a wonderful team of people that have come, and if you would like to be part of it, please say. It would be wonderful if you wanted to be. It's eclectic team of people, young, older, whatever. It's just people who are fast thinking, fast moving. We seem to be getting more and more people to join us. And, you know, Extinction Rebellion, who, as I say, I'm part of, they do their thing, which is absolutely brilliant. And I'm absolutely thrilled that they are pushing for what they do. But then there also does need to be a safe space where you can just go and go, so can I just learn about this? Can I know what happens? For example, if I use this substance in my washing water, what does it do to the earth? And find out really simple things and be given an alternative so that you're not, I mean, it is a bit more expensive, or can be. But what I've found, I'm going to start a sort of blog thing, is that it doesn't have to be at all expensive. Once you click into that, hold on a minute, I can use, for example, the leaves of the beetroot. The leaves of the beetroot don't need to be thrown away. If you wash them and chop them up and do them in butter and garlic, they are exquisite. So you start using everything, you know. And it's, you know, I looked at some dandelions in the garden the other day and I thought, well, I'm going to put them in the salad and see what happens. Everybody was fine. Nobody died, you know. It's okay. You can use more than you think. And waste a lot less. So I'm hoping that with the enthusiasm that's being generated from all the people that have joined us, and the focus will just emit a kind of energy that will pick up with other people, and it will just grow, I hope, quickly enough that we can make a difference and save our beautiful world.
Yeah, and I'm sure you will. And I think, you know, in a way, because, you know, we've all had to experience lockdown, every single one of us, doesn't matter who you are. You know, I think that we have learnt a lot more
Yeah.
than we would have learned if we had just been going at it 24/7 as we do, you know. And yeah, the positives out of it are, at the moment, people are not going back into offices. Now, I'm not just talking about, you know, driving the economy and whatever. We've already proven we can do a lot more from home. So I think, you know, by not going into offices, you're not, as I say, using vehicles, or you know, you are staying at home and you are going out and appreciating the countryside. I mean, countryside charities like CPRE, for example, has said, you know, they've done the CPRE in Hampshire actually have done a big survey that they kind of started before the pandemic, and they just released the results, and it's about the value of the countryside.
Yeah.
And it's not just about it's not just about saying, oh, you know, obviously it's natural and it's beautiful and all this type of thing. Yes, it is saying that, but you know, it's also digging deeper into the climate now and saying, well, you know, it has health and well-being aspects. It has, you know, it's much better for our planet that we're not building on this beautiful piece of nature that is really basically regenerating the planet, and also, you know, keeping people healthy and, you know, well, because, you know, that's all we had, didn't it? Wasn't it, really? You know, that's all we had. I mean, unlike you, I've kind of worked through the whole thing. did work from home for 2 months rather than going into the studio. And it's you just learn to do things. And the only time that we really could go out was for some exercise in nature.
Yeah. Yeah. And isn't it a joy? I mean, that's the thing I find as well, because of this fabulous Zoom. You know, if I'm not careful, I'm on Zoom too much, and I don't get out there where I really want to be whilst there's time, in this beautiful weather and the peace and quiet of the garden, or even in the walk just up the road. You know, and the park, it's not overcrowded at the moment. It's wonderful. So you know, we need to be out there. But that's the only problem with Zoom and stuff, that to get a balance, you know, to keep a balance, so we're not on the phone all the time.
No,
Not
definitely. But I've just had that thought after, telling you about the survey with CPRE. I mean, obviously the
yeah.
charities across the UK, but the Hampshire branch is local in the south. But I should get Dee, the chairwoman of the Hampshire branch that put this survey together.
Yeah.
And you should get have a chat with her, because I think
I'd love to.
and also I just missed, because I am busy juggling a lot of time with my job, but I just got invited to the climate change conference with CPRE, and it was over Zoom. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it that morning because I had something else going on. But I did do an interview afterwards with one of the CPRE ladies, who told me all about, what had been discussed. So there's another avenue for you. I should definitely make links with the CPRE. Definitely.
Thank you. I'd love that. I'd love that. It would be, everything's good. You know, every organization like that, it's such an inspiration. It just spurs us all on to know that they're already doing that and they're already there. It's wonderful. You know, lots of little groups are good. You know, I think I would encourage anybody to either join a group that's already in existence or develop their own. You know, it doesn't have to be that you're part of Extinction Rebellion or even London Climate Change Festival. You just start your own. You know, it's exciting to do it for your friends and for your family, you know.
Well, it is exciting, but the Climate Change Festival in London, I mean, London is still our capital city.
Yeah.
You should, and you obviously got a platform without having had to do the festival, because you weren't allowed to do it anyway. So it's just a great way of connecting more people, isn't it, to
yes
cause, I think.
Yes, and people give each other ideas, you know, scientists and artists together. I mean, there was Julian Allwood, who's head of climate mitigation at Cambridge, wrote a big sort of fat leaflet about carbon and how we're going to have to change the way we live so that we survive, so that the temperature doesn't go up to 4 or even 2, that it stays at 1.5. It's a big deal what he's done. Took 15 years to create this thing, you know. I still haven't read it all, but I asked him if he would talk about this at the festival with Tamsin Whaley-Cohen, who's the most amazing violinist. And he got so excited at the thought of having a violinist do these little moments of meditation, if you like, between what he was saying. So he'd speak for 20 minutes and then she was going to play. It hasn't happened, but it will happen next year, hopefully, please God. But then he did something online for us, which is on the festival website now. And he then sat down at his own piano and decided to play certain tunes in between his chat, which made it much more accessible, you know, for the people who are watching. He was chatting away about climate change and he said, I'm just going to play this because I think you might like it. And he sat down at the grand piano and played wonderful. So it humanized him rather than going, oh my God, he's a scientist. A bit like, you know, how wonderful David Attenborough is. He doesn't ever make us feel we don't understand what he's saying. And that's the thing, that some scientists are so academic that you have to say, hold on a minute, I didn't quite catch that. And that's the place we're going to sit with some of the interviews. and the Artists Collective, who will help that become much more accessible for everybody and help people to know what they can do today to make a difference today in their lives, so that there is at least they're doing a little bit. Because in fact, it was Olio. Have you heard of Olio?
No.
Tessa Clark runs this amazing app called Olio, Olio, and you can get the app and you can go on it and put your address in, and there will be somebody in your street or around the corner who will say, I've got too many potatoes tonight, I'm not going to eat them, I'm going away for the weekend, anybody want the potatoes? You go, yes please, and then you go and get them. So, you know, it's to stop food waste. And she told me that thing about the food waste in the world could feed the starving, hungry people 3-4 times over every year. So she was a great inspiration to the whole thing, actually. And Natalie Fee, who started City to Sea also. But there are so many people now coming into the London Climate Change Festival, and they're all doing great things, which is exciting. But at home is where we're doing the most damage. And that's what Tessa told me. It's actually in our own homes, the heating we put on, the lack of insulation, the amount of water we just let go. We just use too much. We live as if we're 4 countries. We live as if we're 4 countries. We're not, we're just a little island.
Yeah, which is, we don't think about it. You're right. I mean,
we think it'll go on forever, but it just won't. And also, if we want to look after everybody in the world, we have to make sure that the message gets out in any way we can, with hopefully nice ways, you know, songs and dances and people talking and joining up and helping each other. But, you know, we've got to save everybody on the planet, not just England, you know, because what happens to me happens to somebody else at some point, probably before it happens to me. So we've got to, you know, think out.
well, yeah, I mean, there's Portsmouth University are actually being commissioned to do research on plastic pollution. Yeah, so I'm aware of information because of, you know, doing news. So yeah, no, they have, and well, 2 of the countries that they're doing is Bangladesh. They're doing a study in Bangladesh to try and clear up, you know, some of their waste, because, you know, it's highly populated and they don't have any proper waste solutions like we do over here. The other one is in Kenya, in Africa, obviously. So they're doing these studies where they can, you know, help improve the waste collections.
Yeah, I mean, this is where Sky Gingell, who runs that restaurant Spring, has said just try not to throw it away at all, because it makes you realise it just goes in better. If you're not throwing it away, you're seeing it every day. It's piling up, and it hits home if you keep it. That really we can't use plastic anymore. And I've heard that Tesco are just about to do refillables. So instead of taking a plastic bottle of shampoo home and chucking it away, you'll go with your container, fill it up with shampoo, and come back again when it's empty, which is brilliant. It's what I was praying for, because that's where you go along the supermarket shelves and think, we just don't have a hope. If all this stuff is in plastic, how are we going to solve the problem? Let alone in other countries, in this country, where you say we have special, you know, ways of getting rid of our waste. We don't actually. We have been shipping it over to Malaysia. They've now said, no more, thank you. Send it back. So we're doing incinerators and we're doing landfill, which is really not good for the soil or the air. So we have to just stop it. But it's easier to say it. It's very difficult to do it. But the best way we can do it is to stop buying it and stop throwing it away. I've found that my cupboard full of plastic bottles, as it's been growing, part of me is really proud of it, and part of me is terrified that it will take over my home soon. But it won't, because what it's done to me is made me realise it's worth walking a little bit further to get the stuff I would have got in a plastic container in my paper bag or in my container that I take with me, and just fill it up like that. So there's, you know, less and less plastic coming into the house. I get so excited. I put my bin outside the door. It's not inside anymore. I don't have a bin inside. I do all the compost is in the garden. Any plastic goes in the bottles. Cooked food, I put down the loo. Only cooked food if we're not eating it. I try and make everybody finish their food and not to cook too much, but sometimes there's a bit over. I put it down the loo. For now, I can't think of what else to do it. If it's rice or something and you can't eat it, more of it. And oh God, I have to sort out my blog because I can feel myself saying too much. But
yeah,
yeah,
well, the thing is though, Janie, it's still a learning curve. It is not
yeah,
for you, it's still a learning curve for everybody.
yeah, it is.
You know, they are discovering new ways of getting rid of food waste all the time.
Yeah,
They are. It's not something that is stationary by any stretch of the imagination. You know, they're
no,
new ways of doing it all the time. Because interestingly enough, the one thing that I really have, you know, shocked me, because, you know, being a journalist and running a newsroom, you get to know that, you know, especially in the South region that I cover, what certain authorities do and don't do. And it absolutely shocked me. It's probably about 18 months ago now, when I realised that certain different authorities in Berkshire, for example, there's like four authorities,
yeah,
were doing different things. One could recycle a lot of plastic, the other one could hardly recycle any plastic, and so on and so forth. And that is just in one county. And so, you know, it is an ever-changing situation where people are looking into it. As I said, TerraCycle, I mean, I don't need to like to drop names in my job, because I don't, you know, I don't really want to endorse people per se, but
yeah.
TerraCycle, as I said, have teamed up with Cathedral City, you know, the cheesemakers,
Oh yeah.
and they've come up with a process of getting rid of cheese wrapping, because that plastic
Wonderful.
has actually, no one could recycle it before. No
No,
one
no.
could recycle it before. So that they, as I said, they have, you know, there is different things happening all the time, which is
Yes.
great.
Yes, that's right. But I suppose with Tessa's comment about in the home, I think the main thing I want to try and help people to do with the festival is to know what they can do just within their own homes. So the government will have to, you know, catch up. But Julian, I was going to say to you, Julian Allwood, the guy at Cambridge, said, you know, if we're going to start shouting at the government, he said, I'm not interested. But if you want to talk about social movement, I'm interested. I said, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to talk to people like ourselves and see if we can all help each other to shift our behavior into a place that is intelligent, sustainable, sensitive. I didn't bring it over, but my rubbish now per week goes in a brown paper bag about that size. That's my rubbish that I've thrown in the bin per week. It used to be a whole bin that sat in the corner and stank, you know, and I thought one day, why am I doing this in my life? I've got a bin inside my kitchen that's got old food, plastic, all sorts of awful stuff, and it's sitting there sort of putrefying, and I'm spraying the air with stuff to make it smell better. It's just a stupid way to live. So I took the bin, I put it outside. I thought, I'm not throwing anything in the bin this week. But it's worked. Whoa, sorry. Oh my God. I got overexcited. Yeah.
No, wow. I'm not surprised you've got overexcited. That is amazing, though, that you've managed to do that. I think I'm behind you with that. I really am. I mean, I've got my various recycling bins, and, you know, I do my, you know, plastics in there and so on and so forth. But it's
Yeah. I think it was because this guy who's with us, Victor, he's from Malaysia, And he told us, he went home for his holiday, and he said, by the way, when I got there, he said, the news was we sent the ship back with all the rubbish. He said, because we saw the landfill, and he showed us a little video, you know, the landfill, what they, you know, putting all our rubbish in their land, and then their soil, which is ancient and very good, is going to be corrupted by the breakdown of plastic in the soil. It's going to suffocate. You know, already the world's species have halved in the last, you know, I've forgotten the amount of years, about 100 years. You know, Greta says it in her book, you know, half the species we had have gone. They've gone. And we've just got to turn the clocks back or forward in a very thoughtful way.
Have you got
I don't know why I'm saying it to you.
No,
you know already.
Yeah, but I mean, no, but it's good that, you know, you do. I think I find that a lot of people probably don't, like myself, probably don't make the adjustment that you've made, you know, reach that. I probably would reach that if I wasn't, you know, so caught up in, you know, as I said, I basically, my day job is working in news. So
yeah,
it's all of this, you know, it's like this, really.
I know. That's the thing. That's why I like the lockdown, because the lockdown stopped all that crazy, sorry, I've got a meeting 5 minutes ago, I've got to go. You know, that I heard myself say that so many times. So sorry, I've got to run. I've got to be over there. I've got to be over there. I've got to take this call. I've got to, you know, like I was just exhausted when they pulled the plug. I was so glad to go and be quiet for a bit. But if we keep going like that, well, I think COVID is, you know, as sad as it is for many people who have lost their loved ones, and I'm so, yeah, that's not, I'm not talking about that. That's bad, that's sad, and that's hard. But if we don't change the way we live, we make their deaths happen for nothing. They died for nothing. If we learn through this time what we've felt intrinsically inside ourselves, which is, isn't it lovely to stop a minute and just be? I mean, I know some people have been terribly lonely, and some people have been stuck in, you know, small flats, and it hasn't been like that. But I would say enough people have had a positive experience during it that they can now understand that we can't just rush around crazily like we were. To what end?
No, I agree with you. I don't think life was ever supposed to be lived like that either.
No.
We've just got to the stage, haven't we, where we can over communicate. Here's another one.
Yeah.
And you know, everything is excess, isn't it? You know, that's the world that we've created for ourselves. You know, I'm not into pointing fingers.
No, it's us. We've done it. We're responsible. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
It's
we're
us. Yeah.
all in this together, aren't we? You know, it's
We
not.
are.
Yeah,
We
completely.
are.
I'm not, as I said, I'm not into to necessarily. I kind of like what Julian said, the scientist from Cambridge. I think, you know, it's quite true. I think if you can be a social movement rather than somebody who's going to just constantly lobby the government. I mean,
the government will follow us. Actually, they will, if they see, you know, that the economy has changed in a certain direction, that people are going for the refillable, that they're going for the you know, it's like in the 80s when they said CFC emissions from sprays, everybody stopped buying sprays, everybody used roll-ons and things. You know, it wasn't long before the market realized, okay, we won't do so many sprays, we'll do that, and took care of the CFCs. So we do make a difference. Every single person matters. Like Greta said, you're never too small to make a difference. It's so true. It's so true. And it's fun. Right now it's fun. If we don't do something now, it won't be fun anymore. So Yeah, I hope that it's been so lovely talking to you, Ali, and you're so positive and supportive of it, and clearly intelligent about the whole thing. It's great. But the thing is, as my friend says to me, what about people who haven't got enough time to think or enough money to go down the road to buy the loose stuff? You know, how are we going to help them? How are we going to help everybody? How are we going to equalize it so that everybody's on the same level? And that's another good side possibly of this climate movement, that, you know, we're all in it together and we can help each other, but we do need to invent ways to connect each other. And I do think through entertainment is a really good idea. So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I think that's very, very positive news. As I said, you know, I feel like the climate, when I first heard about it, I was, oh my goodness, I really need to speak to Janie. I think this is amazing. And I can really see that you're already making tracks with the climate festival, even though it hasn't happened in, you know, in the real world, so to speak. It is kind of happening in a small way, isn't it? In the
it's online, it's in the ether, it's in the internet. But you know, you can, like, we go to a website to find out, I don't know, my son goes on the history website when he's doing his homework. We can go to the climate change website, we can go to Greenpeace website, we can go to World Wildlife Fund website and get loads of information. But we're hoping that our website will be really accessible and help people. You know, all of us are volunteering this. It's not for any personal gain. It is simply so that we can reverse or at least keep at bay the prediction of difficult times of heat, of too much heat. I remember seeing this film when I must have been about 7, and the telly went on, and there was the end of a film with 2 men sitting on a submarine, and there was a red sky, and I'm going to have to find it. As somebody will know, somebody will ring you and say, tell her it's this. But whatever that film was, it was about the end of the world, and the sky was red. And I remember as a 7-year-old feeling great dread about that. Of course, we're nowhere near there at the moment, but other people will be because of us. So we don't want to be the baddies, do we? We want to be the goodies and do what we can. So I think that film was probably the seed when I was 7.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go then. Yeah. There you go. So I look forward to possibly visiting the climate festival next year.
Yes, and in the interim, you know, Crazy Cox will have a little bit of that, and a little night music over there on the 15th. I think the 15th of August. Pretty sure that's when it's going to be. And Crazy Cox, and I might do something in Frampton in Gloucestershire, an open air celebration of particularly trees. I think trees are so amazing for us. We are so lucky that they are giving us free oxygen every day, you know, and we want to celebrate them. And there's a place in Frampton.
We do. They live a lot longer. I said they live a lot longer than we do.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. You feel it, don't you? You know, when you go for a walk and you go and touch the trunk of a tree, and you can just feel the solidity of it and the strength of it and the connectivity. I mean, there's been a wonderful program about trees, the hidden life of trees, and they look after each other underneath the ground. They are looking after each other through the roots, and they send signals to each other about diseases that are coming, and they protect each other. It's amazing. And they're looking after us. So we have to look after them. So there are so many bits and pieces, and the team keeps saying to me, we can't do it all, Janie. And I say, I know, but let's go organically with everything that comes, because we're going to be a diverse lot of actors, dancers, musicians, writers, artists, filmmakers, activists, scientists, you know, just about everywhere. medics, lots of doctors on with us. So yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting to come together with people in this way. It feels like it's really got a heart to it, you know, a meaning.
Yeah, absolutely, and just basically, I mean, to celebrate the planet, I think is the key thing here, isn't it? To really celebrate what the planet gives us.
Yeah, we're going to do a competition actually. I might as well mention it now. So if anybody wants to look at the London Climate Change Festival website at the beginning of August, we are going to launch a competition for people to make their own expressions of part of this subject, an element of the subject of climate change. They could be any age, doesn't matter, anybody can do this. Make a 4-minute piece. It can be a film, it can be written, it can be a drawing, it doesn't matter what it is, but it has to express something about the situation of climate change, the weather, the plastic, the water, the soil. And we're going to give directions so to help people do that. And then the winner will be, well, we'll see what we'll do with the winner, but the winner, we've got to talk about what we're going to do for the winner. But it depends on, I have some amazing people who are joining us. So it might be that Leonardo DiCaprio will, you know, give a special nod to whoever does the film, and you know, David Hockney is no longer with us, is he? But you know, a great artist will do something with the person who wins the art, and you know, so on, that kind of thing. So really encouraging people to find the creativity in themselves and the focus in themselves to create something that is profound and funny, maybe. I mean, you need to laugh in this this moment in our world. I mean, I think it's a great relief when we can have a laugh about it. And when we were doing the cabarets, sorting out the cabarets, and Rob Brydon said he'd do it, and Celia Imrie said she'd do it, and Jay Wren, loads of people said they were going to come and do it, and they were telling me some of their ideas, and they were just, it was great, because if you're laughing, you can absorb this stuff. If it gets a bit too worthy, it can be really boring, you know. So that's also the aim of the festival. Oh God, I'm going to stop going on about it now. I've said too much.
No, that is absolutely fabulous. And you know what? It's been amazing to meet you, because you know it's a different take. It is a different take, and I think you know you are quite right in celebrating nature and being artistic and being creative, rather than, you know, because as you said quite rightly, most people don't understand the science behind it, not the real science behind it. You do to a degree, but you know, carbon emissions are harming the planet, and but you know, we don't actually understand everything.
No. And it's really nice when somebody doesn't treat you like an idiot. They really make an effort to explain it in an entertaining way, everything that's happening, so you can really get it. I love it when that happens. I went to the dentist the other day. This tooth came out, so I looked hysterical. I looked like Wurzel Gummidge or something, you know. I was very upset at the time, I have to say, but I started laughing about it, and I went to the dentist, and I was so scared, you know, with the injection in here, up my nose almost, that it was going to be too painful. He didn't hurt me at all, and he explained every single thing he was doing to my mouth, and it was so educational, and it was so fascinating. I don't think I felt nervous for one moment. I felt like, okay, we're going to get there. We're going to get through this. And in the same way, I feel like with the scientists who are coming on board with us, you know, they're so good at talking. They love talking about it. They're great guys and women. They're great. And they're fun, and they're quirky, some of them, and they're really cool, some of them. And they know so much. And they also don't know everything, which is also quite exciting, because some things could turn around. Yeah. But it's quite a good thing to be learning about, I must say. I'm really enjoying it.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, that is such good news. Right, well, thank you so much for coming on Tea Time with Ali Monjack. It's just been brilliant to really connect with you. It has.
It's been lovely talking to you. It's really, it feels so easy chatting with you. Thank you.